Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. I always like to begin by reminding you that the most important thing in life is to know that presence within yourself. When you know that presence within yourself, you know the most precious energy of all of life. I encourage you to just take the time today, be quiet, be still, maybe just 5-10 minutes. Allow the inner presence to come forward and allow it to be your guide for the day. I also want to invite you, if you're able to join us for What is Light Body tonight from 7 to 8:30. Let's begin. My dear friends, it continues to be a great joy to witness your response in preparing your personality self to be a willing vehicle for the expression of our ascending spirit. Last week's teaching on right livelihood was truly, in a sense, interesting by way of helping us to understand that so many of us now are learning to loosen the grip that the world has held on us. It does take time and it takes attention to be able to loosen that grip, to realize how easy it is to allow what is going on outside of you to take over from what's going on within you. Finding, in a sense, that right blend, the right blend of inner guidance and outer expression. That right blend is the basis of today's basic teaching, the sixth step in the Eightfold Path. The sixth step is our title of today's teaching. It's entitled Right Effort. Right Effort. In happily explaining this teaching, I will begin by focusing on where right effort begins, after sharing a saying that many of us live by, and then I will proceed to explain how this right effort in detail can help us in three particular ways. Let's begin. While the following principle of right effort has been presented in many different ways, the one that has been the basis of my life, and perhaps yours as well, is usually accredited to Lord Chesterfield in a 1776 letter that he wrote to his son. The advice was, whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. Whatever is worth doing is doing well. As a side note, this advice was given to his son, who was taking up dancing lessons. It certainly has become a saying that applies universally. What is worth doing is worth doing well. This is the advice, this particular advice applies so much to our spiritual growth. I think it goes without saying that we must make the right effort. We might make the right effort if we are to live our spirituality as well as we desire. Thus, a legitimate question then arises for us. Where does your right effort begin? Where does right effort begin? A little advice from one of our wonderful philosophers, Immanuel Kant, will be helpful. Kant very simply said, he said that before a person is going to live ethically, they must be willing to do so. Before a person actually puts in the time to do the ethical things, they have to have that internal will to do so. You can tell a person everything they should do, but until a person has a willingness to truly do what you feel that is the right thing for him to do, until they have the willingness to do so, by and large, they just have a deaf ear. Just as perhaps maybe your ears were closed at one time. Yet a more spiritual upgrade to Kant's approach is needed. What is needed is more than just a willingness to do so. What is really needed for all of us is a willingness to open from our true self, to open from the God Spirit that is within us. This is where many people fail in life. They would like to improve, but they have a tendency not to really open from within, and thus they lose heart and they fail. Such people think that to be open is simply to be open-minded. In so doing, they weigh things simply from a worldly perspective. While being open-minded is better than being closed-minded, it is quite different. It is quite different than being open from your true self, the God Spirit that is within you. I suspect that you have found this to be true so many times in your own life. You realized that the path to a higher knowing exceeds simply being open-minded. The path to the higher knowing begins with a willingness to know the true self within you. Let me just repeat that. The path to higher knowing begins with a willingness to know the true self within you and to allow that true self, your inner spirit, to be your guide. Such openness to spirit is the basis of higher effort, and such openness is surely worth doing well. So with these introductory comments, let me now suggest to you what I consider to be the 3 principles of right conduct. See if in fact they might reflect your personal principles as well. The first principle is the foundational principle. It is the basis of making the right effort. It is truly what is worth doing well. The first principle in establishing the right effort is right aspirations. To have right aspirations of what you are willing to do, of what you want to do. And might I suggest in these 2 ways. The first way is to establish the right spiritual aspiration for yourself. What do you desire to achieve in your personal spirituality? Only you know you, and only you know where you are in your spiritual life, which sometimes can then present the following problem. The problem is that we become complacent in our spirituality. It's because, well, it's just one more thing that your mind wants to control. You begin to see your spirituality fitting into your life rather than guiding your life. This has been the failure of many who have, in a sense, begun a spiritual path, but they still want to be in charge of their personality. They still want to be in charge, having their personality self to guide their spirituality. They still want their mind to direct their lives, rather than allowing the spirit from within to guide them. The truth of the matter is that they have not been able to open to the true self that is within them, the true self that is the God Spirit. They still want to be in charge. Or should I say, their personality self has not been able to get beyond itself. As a result, such well-meaning people stop their spiritual practices. It's just not their time to do so in love. You were like this at one time. So was I. We were all like this. How many times our spirituality started and then stopped until this time. This time You are now ready to make the right effort because, and I applaud you for doing so, this time, you have come to know your true spiritual self and have opened to its guidance in your life. Bravo, bravo, hallelujah. And as you have done so, you have established a set of spiritual practices, a set of spiritual aspirations that you are faithful to. And might I suggest the surprise that you have found? Not only have you established your spiritual aspirations, but you are also understanding the expansion that they have caused within you. You are growing, you are ascending, you have overcome your spiritual complacency. You have ceased trying to control your spiritual growth simply from your mind, and now you have come to understand and to allow the spirit within you to guide you. Your right efforts are paying off. You have come to understand that your spirituality is the best thing worth doing well. It's the best thing worth doing well, and you are doing it. You are doing well. You are doing well with the Holy Spirit as your dance partner, allowing it to lead. Again, bravo and alleluia. You will recall I said that there are two parts to your spiritual aspirations. First, the one that you yourself were aspiring to personally, but there is a second aspect. The second aspect concerns your clear understanding that you are a participant in the larger plan of God to bring heaven to earth. Oh, I know you get so involved in this, that, and the other thing, but the truer understanding is that you are a participant in the larger plan of God bringing heaven to earth. That you are not just a cog in some vast human machine, but rather that you are a participant in a larger spiritual energy. This understanding and aspiration is somewhat new for many of us. Through our understanding of spiritual teachers, we realize that we have a responsibility not just to ourselves, but we also have a responsibility to all of our fellow human beings. Whether we see this responsibility as the service mentioned by Jesus or the compassion taught by the Buddha, we realize that our aspirations are connected. Please listen well. That our aspirations are connected to the aspirations of humanity's highest ideals, and that we are using our talents to achieve them. We take very seriously that we should love our neighbor as ourselves. We really do. Everyone. Oneness has become a principal aspiration that is a living aspiration, not just for ourselves personally, but for all humanity. How much we have grown, and yet with so much more to come. We're now ready for the second principle of right effort. Let us now return to you. We clearly understand that each one of us is creating our own reality. That's simply the way it is. So let me now suggest to you, however, a new dynamic that would be the basis of yours, that would be the basis of you for creating your future. And please understand that this dynamic is based on the present level of your personal spiritual maturity that you have achieved, again, at this stage in your life. As people look forward to their future, there's a tendency to look backwards to the basic part of their life where they focus a little bit more on the old stuff in their life. They have a tendency to look backwards to the achievements of their past successes, thinking that, well, what has worked for me in the past will truly be my guidance for the future. While there is nothing wrong with this approach, I think that it lacks spiritual energy for those of us on a spiritual path. May I suggest, as you chart your spiritual future, that you do so with this dynamic. Ask yourself this question: how can I perfect my being for the evolution of myself and for the evolution of our species? How can I perfect my being for the evolution of myself and for the evolution of our species? Just say it again. How can I perfect my being for the evolution of myself and for the evolution of our species? This is the bigger picture. In order to make the right effort in our future, we need to move beyond the complacencies of the past, thinking that somehow we have arrived at some artificial plateau, that somehow we have made it. I encourage you to lay aside useless things in your future, to release wasted efforts that just lead you nowhere. Everything from simply surfing the internet to useless discussions of the present state of the world, of politics, or of religion. Just as you now truly realize that your spirituality has rescued you from what is frivolous and superficial, now is your blessed time to expand and elevate your spiritual awareness. You now have the time to explore your growth. And let me suggest that you might do so in these two ways. First, you know what you are ready to advance in spiritually. This is precisely the question that I ask myself repeatedly. I just say to myself, Vince, what are you ready to explore? What is it that you desire to advance in? Rather than simply looking back at the past. It's such an important thing, not to simply look at the past, but what is it now in your aspirations that you want to explore in life? I personally have found that the words right effort for me have meant making the right ongoing efforts to advance in your spiritual awareness, and in doing so, to become a blessing for myself as well as for others. This is the dynamic I encourage you to embrace for your future. What is it that I am now ready to explore in my life? It kind of boils down to each one of us realizing that we are creative extensions of the God energy with ever more creative ways to be able to extend this energy into our futures. There's also a beautiful second aspect of expanding our spiritual awareness. This expansion means a little more than simply blooming where you are planted. It's a bigger picture. The second expansion is one that I see so many of us now willing to explore, truly exploring things that are, at best, were only infrequently thought about in the past, or simply at the edge of our society. The second aspect has two parts. The first one is to truly realize that our earth life is indeed only this, that our earth life is simply a planetary earth line, and that we are participants in a larger space-time system far beyond our planet. Especially with the James Webb Space Telescope, it has opened for us such a vast new astral, galactic, and intergalactic system. And I am especially pleased to see organizations like the Soul Foundation that are exploring UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. I suggest that your right effort for the future is to be more than just earthbound, more than just planetary. A suggestion to you. But it's the second aspect that perhaps you haven't thought about for a while. I think about it regularly. Perhaps it will fit into your life. Part of the bigger picture is our relationship to those who have passed. To those who have passed. As we advance spiritually and reduce our physical density and attachments to the world, as we reduce our physical density and our attachments to the world, we're becoming more and more aware of the continuity of life that we share with those who have passed. For many of us, those who have physically passed are more present energetically than those who are still physically present in body. It's true. It's true that our loved ones are no longer simply past thoughts, but rather are living energies in our present. And we believe that we are living energies in their presence. I simply invite you to make the right efforts of having the bigger picture of life that is a much more accurate view of life than our simply limited human perspectives. The third principle of making right efforts is also very important. Please listen carefully. We know that as we make our right effort to develop our futures, not everything works out simply rosy right at the very beginning. It just doesn't always seem to work so well initially. Thus, as we continue our spiritual growth, we need to be attentive to two spiritual guidelines. And again, they are guidelines making the growth that we have accomplished already and what we're prepared for to be even better. The first guideline: allow your seeming mistakes or your seeming failures to become your teachers. For that is what they are. They are only seeming mistakes that are now your teachers to see more clearly. Please understand that this is how the spiritual growth in our lives is often accomplished. The initial impulse is quite correct, but it often needs to be clarified. What we sometimes see in confusion first becomes the basis of our spiritual growth. Do not back down. Simply advance to greater clarity. Do not doubt your movement forward. You will succeed. A seeming failure, occasioned by the right inspiration, will lead to greater growth. The second guideline might sound a little harsh initially, but it needs to be expressed if we are to continue to make our right efforts. Here's the guideline. Each time you make an excuse for weakness, you place another obstacle on your upward path. Each time you make an excuse for weakness, you place an obstacle on your upward path. I'll say it one more time. Every time you make an excuse for weakness, you place another obstacle on your upward path. The remedy for such incomplete seeing is to allow the power of the God Spirit within you to become your power and your strength. You are not weak. You are not weak. You are empowered by the Spirit. Don't make excuses for seeming obstacles. Allow them to become your teachers for your growth. And yes, of course, we will help each other to do this, for this is what it means to live in a spiritual community. In conclusion, I trust that this teaching on the sixth step of right effort is helpful to you. I have made my best right effort in so teaching. May we continue to make our right efforts of doing so as well, together, for the greater glory of all that is, who made the original right effort in creating us as we are, conscious, eternal soul spirits. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. Whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. And of course, you ask yourself the question, is not my spirituality the very center of my loving presence? Is it not the best thing, the most worthwhile thing to do well? That's really an important question to address to yourself. Is not my spirituality, my deepest sense of self, where I really function from? Is that not the best place from which to do well? Please don't view this like with guilt or shame. We're done with that stuff. But to view it honestly, what is it that I most want to be about in life? What is it that I most would like to see myself as? What are my spiritual aspirations? We realize we can't do this in a 10-minute meditation, but it takes a little more time, perhaps later today or during the week, to be able to sit down and to truly acknowledge what your spiritual aspirations are. I know what mine are. I encourage you, if you want to live your spirituality well, to set for yourself from now on what it is that you spiritually aspire to. Now, of course, I would never encourage you to do this if there were not benefits that would be included. So you ask yourself honestly, if I just paid a little more attention to my spiritual aspirations, what would be the benefits that would accrue to me? That's a fair question to ask. You should ask it. Well, the first list is very simple. You'll be happier, kinder, wiser, nicer, smarter, just without a doubt, without a doubt. You'll not get so easily upset with others. You'll not be quite so impatient. You'll be calmer, able to deal with others more effectively. You'll just pretty much be a happier camper in life. But there is much more. That's the first list. The second list mentally, emotionally, and physically, you will improve. Your thoughts will become better, more loving, understanding, not nearly as judgmental and critical. Your emotions will no longer be worn on your sleeve, but rather you will be in charge of how you respond to life. The buttons that were so easily pushed in the past will disappear. And physically, you'll be in much better shape. There's another list. The third list is just the good you will do, how better you will be for your family and for your friends. It's not so much how much better they might receive you, but rather how much better you will show up for them, regardless of how they receive you. You just will continue to be a loving and yet intelligent presence in their lives, better than you've ever been. Not quite so me-focused. They're able to be so much more supportive and even better for them, rather than just trying to tell them what to do. Oh, and yes, there's humanity. We have so many explorations going on in life. There are a lot of people who are presently in lower energy. That's not you. But you're able to establish a larger social energy. that you will put forth the highest human ideals and not be deterred by those of lesser energy. Now, with all of that, there's still more. The real more is that you will be that conscious extension of the God Spirit. That you will be as God created you to consciously extend the good, the beautiful, and the holy. You will have fulfilled your journey here upon the earth plane, and then happily join others who have completed their journey here for your next journey. It's kind of like win, 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 win. When you make the right effort. To live your spirituality to its utmost. It's the most important thing to do well. Okay, let's start doing well today. Let's start doing well today. Stay centered. Make your list of your personal aspirations. It's the only way you're going to improve. You have to make your list, what it is that you're ready now to expand in. Let's continue to help each other, encouraging each other to do so. And with that, let me invite you back to your breath. Nice, easy breathing. And gently breathing your eyes open. I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.